Okay, so I've literally hacked the One Piece story, and I'm not gonna gatekeep it. If you like One Piece at all, you have to hear this out. If you've seen my channel, you know I'm obsessed with Japanese history, and I often compare anime and history together as they have a lot of correlations. But I've never thought about correlating One Piece as a whole to Japanese history until someone recently told me to do so, and I found out that the similarities are shocking. The more I read about it, the more trippy it gets. We have to start with the ancient history of Japan and the first people to ever come over to the archipelago. They were a hunter-gatherer group from the Paleolithic era, and they came over during the last ice age. They lived for tens of thousands of years in peace and slowly developed the culture that we know today as the Jomon, the first culture and recognized people ever in Japan. This is where the crazy starts. These people, the Jomon, had a strand of DNA that was called a Y chromosome haplogroup, and it was called haplogroup D. The thing about this DNA is that it's almost solely found within the indigenous people of Japan, the Jomon. This directly correlates to the will of D. I know that sounds like a stretch, but just keep on listening. Now we're going to fast forward to a people called the Yamato, and these people were basically a precursor to Imperial Japan. The Yamato then went on to conquer and assimilate all of the people descended directly from the indigenous Jomon people, all the while claiming they're descendants of heaven, which gives them the right. This is exactly like the world government and the celestial dragons who claim they're from heaven while they do all the bad things that they do. I mean, come on. The Yamato then go on to write the first books ever written in Japan called the Nihon Shoki and the Kojiki. These books were meant to be an early history of Japan, but it's widely known today that they were written in the Yamato image and bias. What I'm trying to say is that as the Yamato conquered and assimilated all of these indigenous people, they conveniently hid up and covered and left out parts of history for their own convenience. This is the same thing that the world government does in One Piece, almost exactly. In these two books that the Yamato wrote, the Nihon Shoki and the Kojiki, they tell a tale of the first ever emperor of Japan, and his name is called Jimmu. Sounds kind of familiar, right? This first emperor's name, Jimmu, is eerily similar to Imu, and in history, the first emperor is not even confirmed to exist. He's more of a myth. What I forgot to mention was that the indigenous people of Japan, the Jomon, also had something very similar to the poneglyphs, and they were called petroglyphs. In the show, the will of D is carried by more than just one species, and the Jomon people are not just one culture, they're more diverse than you think. As I was reading this and noticing these similarities, I thought there was too much to just be a coincidence. Oda must have at least taken some inspiration from all of Japan's history. Again, this is just a theory, but it's kind of mind-blowing to think about all these similarities, so let me know what you think in the comments.